She is not at fault. She cannot change her husband. She cannot fix the situation. He is responsible for his choices and behavior, and she's only responsible for herself. So we need to observe, we need to move slowly, and we want to be smart. You want to provide physical safety. If there is a point in time where she needs physical safety, we want to help her with that. That's something the church can do. Ladies, we, the church, men and women, have so many resources for a woman who is in need. If she needs out and she has children, she needs a place to go. She needs someone to help her make appointments. She needs help with transportation. She needs help with food. Do we know how to do those things? We are the church. I mean, this is what we do. We are the hands and feet of Jesus, and we are so equipped, and we so often fail to help our women in these situations because we don't see it, we don't understand it in a biblical context, and we don't know how to help. We can provide physical safety. We can provide personal safety. In the newer research that's being done, another word for domestic abuse is coercive control. Coercive control is actually a term that comes out of wartime, and you're going to be familiar with this because prisoners of war were kept captive without construct, right? Korea, Vietnam, the brainwashing, that whole situation where people were kept and contained without physical restraints. And that is exactly what happens in domestic abuse situations. And it's being called coercive control. That's where another person actually has control of someone else's whereabouts, goings, doings, freedom, without lifting a finger. And so what they are also doing is they are talking about a target and an agent. Your target is the woman who is chosen. She's done nothing wrong. She has no control over the situation. But your agent is using her to objectify her to meet his own needs and desires and to feed his his desire for power and control. So if we can provide her personal safety and just say, hey, I need your help Tuesday afternoon. Could you come to my house for a couple of hours and give her a couple of hours of break? Let her lead on this, but if you see a situation that looks wrong, feels wrong, sounds wrong, and you can provide her with some comfort, some encouragement, just some space to be alone. I meet with a gal, and I'm going to tell you, when I share information, I'm not going to share enough that you know who it is, and I have their permission to share circumstances as much as is helpful to you. So with COVID, she's working at home, and her husband, and he follows her, and he's unemployed, and she's the one making the money, and she can't work, and she can't think, and she can't go because he's always there. So as we meet, and I, as much as I can, I use an advocate who is someone else who is already part of their life, who is part of their church body, or another believer who comes alongside, because we are the body. This is not the magic hour, right? We can't do any magic potion when we're in a counseling session, but we can use the body. And her advocate says, so what happens if you go in a room and shut the door? And she said, I never thought of that. I could shut the door. And I said, and instead of him interrupting, what if you just said, if you need me and something comes up, would you just put a sticky note on the door? And then I'll address all the sticky notes when I come out for lunch. I could do. Is that simple? But does it create her some space? And does that create her a place to think and a place to read her Bible and a place to invest in the Word of God? They can be the smallest things, and you don't have to do rocket science, but you can help think and come up with some ways to create space. Offer to meet her in a park. The thing that will drive him is not wanting anybody to know and not wanting to look bad. People pleasing, absolute. If you know that, and she knows that, and you can use that to get her some safety, you know what? All the ladies from church are meeting at the park at 2 o'clock, and if I'm not there, they'll wonder what's wrong. And they'll wonder why I can't come to the park because everyone else is at the park. All right, we bought her some personal safety. If we can help her with her children and keeping them safe, if she's experiencing abuse, then the children are experiencing that. Not necessarily directly from him in that situation, but there is that whole sense of safe and not safe and trauma and processing and pain and suffering and guilt and shame and all of those pieces that compound for those children. So how can we come alongside and help? We can provide safety. Watch, pray, listen, pray, believe, pray. This is in your notes because we need this. Follow her lead, pray, and trust God. She is not at fault, and she cannot change her husband. He alone is responsible for his choices and behavior.